Bright QT. Every student matters.
To continue with the chapter, coming to discuss with life of modern human. This is now we are coming to discuss with life of modern human. Cro-Magnons were Homo sapiens. In the previous slide also we have seen about that Cro-Magnons. They were actually evolved from Africa and who evolved in Africa and slowly pushed their way into Europe. They developed the ability to endure colder climates, even climates as cold as those found in Iceland or Greenland. So this way they have adapted. And this is the reason behind it for their adaptation and their evolution. So this is the reason behind it for this, the Cro-Magnon people. Then next coming about that, these Cro-Magnons, they are the people about as tall as modern northwestern European people. They are from the northwestern modern people, they are like that. Then it says that they also had many of the same facial cranial features as modern northwestern Europeans. They have, this was also found among this, the Cro-Magnon people. Eventually, now what it says about that, this says that their successors moved into Asia about 30,000 years ago. They crossed the Bering Strait after the retreat of the ice and they entered the Americas. Others reached Australia. So this way, now they spread throughout the country, throughout the world, in the different continents. With this migration, our modern human ancestors spread throughout the world. From one place to another, this means that the one continent to another, they spread throughout the world. So the Cro-Magnon built permanent homes for shelter from the long harsh winter of the Ice Age. For their survival, how they evolved to how to hide themselves in the very cold weather season. So they have started constructing permanent houses. In summer, they lived in tents and followed the huts, and in winters, they lived in Ice Age huts. They were built by branches of trees and mammoth bones covered with animal skins. So this way now they have started using their intelligent brain. In the winter season, they have started using the animal skin. Thus, these huts were built carefully so it could last very long. For the durability of their tents also, their houses also. So this is, holes were dug deeply into the ground. Poles were inserted into these holes and then tied tightly together at the top. So with the cold blowing wind also, it cannot be moved away. The top was tied with the strings made from animals' guts. The structure was covered with worm forms tightly in place. Large rocks were piled around the bottom in order to hold the hut together. So nicely at the bottom they have just used the stones for the holding of this skin. Some huts were built for a small group of people. In Ukraine, remains of long huts have been found large enough to hold an entire hut tribe. So the large huts were also there. So the entire tribal group, entire group of people, they can live inside one tent. The early men were pastoral people. In summer, the tribes moved following the animals with their herds, group of animals, the cattle. They keep on moving. They lived in sturdy tents. These tents could be moved from place to place. The moment the winter comes, they return to their winter shelters with the help of the poles which has been just inserted inside the ground. Then the animal, the furs and the skins are being used to, and it is just tied also very tightly. Then stones are being kept at the bottom, so it can hold for a longer period of time. Very often they had to chase out the wild animals which had moved in during their absence. So this way, the dwelling places were constructed, the shelter were constructed by the early humans. Next is about the food. These food, early men were hunter gatherers. At this time, these early men were hunter gatherers. They obtained food through a number of ways, such as gathering, hunting, scavenging, and fishing. These were the methods of the collection of food. They ate variety of seeds, berries, roots, and nuts, as did their ancestors. The same way, on the same process, how their ancestors were collecting the foods, they were also doing the same. They also ate fish and seemed to have an abundant supply of freshly caught fish. Because of that, they are living nearby the rivers, nearby the water resources. Clothing. The early men living in colder climates had learned to soften leather to make warm and comfortable clothes. These clothes were sewn together with the strings made from animal guts using needles made from bones. In warmer climates, they made cooler clothes from woven grass and even from barks. So this way now how to protect in the winter season, how to protect their body in the summer season, all these concept has been developed. They utilize their intelligence, their brain, and accordingly they try to adapt the situation to develop their ideas to how to cover their body, how to collect the food, how to stay or live in the caves. Next is about that the art. They knew the art of making jewelry. This is now also. With that, the copper, they have started making the jewelries. They also created pottery and baked into the fire, it in fire to give it luster, strength, and durability. The baked pots were stay for a long period of that time. They were durable. They also created little statues carved out of ivory and bones. This is the tusk. Ivory, or the other the word we can use is this, the tusk, the tooth of elephant. And the bones were also used to carve the statues, to make the statues. So this way they have now very intelligent, and they are utilizing their time by doing the different craft work. Tools and weapons. The early men were skilled tool makers. Their weapons included stone axes, knives, spears, harpoons, wooden bows, and the sharp stone tipped arrows. So this way they have started making their tools also, and they use as a weapon to protect themselves, to provide the security for themselves. Modes of communication, which is very important, language and art. Among living beings, it is human alone that have language. Many of that, just now we have discussed about apes, gorilla and all. But among all the living beings, human alone that have a language. This is only this is known as the language which only the human have. No any other animals is having. There are several views on language development. So what are the several views? So they are hominid language involved gestures or hand movements. Hominid with this, the involved gestures by giving the different posture, this the shape and using of their hand movement to clarify themselves, to make the other understand. They spoke language preceded by vocal but non-verbal communication. Sounds are there. but those are non-verbal communication, means the word clarity was not there. Human speech probably began with calls among primates. So this is the first time there's the speech, the accent, the clarity in the word. Most probably it has been started with the primates, not before that. So what it says that the question arises, when did the spoken language emerge? Some historians suggest that the brain of Homo habilis had certain features which would have made it possible for them to speak. Probably the language developed as early as 2 million years ago. 2 million years ago. MYA. And what it says that 2 million years ago, the evolution of the vocal tract occurred around, this is also 2 lakh years ago. Vocal tract in human. This is the vocal tract, how they have to make the different sounds. That also have been developed or occurred around 2 lakh years ago, million years ago. Another suggestion is that language developed around the same time as art. That is around 40,000 to 35,000 years ago. The development of spoken language was closely connected with the art, as both are media communication. So this way, all these, what it says that the development of a spoken language were closely connected. How it is connected? With art. Which art it is? Both are media communications, the medium of communication. This is the brain of Homo had certain features would have made it possible for them to speak. The language may have developed as early as 2 million years ago. The evolution of vocal tract was equally important. This occurred around 2 million years ago. Language developed around the same time as art, that is around 40,000 to 35,000 years ago. Then it comes cave paintings. Cro-Magnon man painted marvelous and astonishing paintings on rock walls. Deep within the caves, inside the cave, wherever they are just hiding themselves or using as a shelter, they started making of the painting over there. Cave paintings. Paintings which is found inside the cave. Paintings were added until a cave might have hundreds of different paintings by many different painters. Most cave paintings focused on hunters and animals, because most of the paintings, they are just depicting the different animals. These early men used natural colors. For the coloring of those paintings, they use natural colors. Those days artificial colors were not used. Most of these paintings were not made with charcoal, but rather with mineral pigments such as iron oxide, red ochre, which was red in color, or black manganese. They drew stick figures for people, but the animals were well drawn. Stick is drawn for, which is depicted as that the human figure. For the people, they use to draw the sticks. But the animals' figure were drawn very carefully and very clearly. And usually that is filled with the natural colors to give them even more shape and substances. So this way they were just utilizing their time, how to they do their creativity, how it is available, how they were doing and making these paintings. This is the picture of the cave paintings. Most of the paintings, these are focused on hunters and animals. This is, you can just view this painting. Hunters and the animals are there. The early men used natural colors. Most of these paintings were not made up of charcoal, but rather than with mineral pigments such as iron oxide, which is red ochre. The color is been used. And they drew stick figures for people, but the animals were well drawn. It is clearly visible. You can see that these are the animals. and this is the human figure. So this is about that the cave painting of that time. The scientists do not know why early men sought to these cave paintings and made paintings in them, and why did they seek such dark, secret, hidden places. This clarity is not there. Why they are just going deep inside the caves and there they were able to draw the paintings. That clarity is not been there. These might have been their recreational activities. It could be possible that they might had something to do with their religion or their rights of manhood. So might be it is only on the assumption basis. This is said by that. This is depicted and according to the observation of the archaeologists, they are trying to create these messages, to give these messages to us. The existence of these caves were discovered accidentally. The caves in Lascaux and the Chauvet in France. This is the Lascaux and the Chauvet is the place in France were discovered around 1940 during the Second World War. 1940, this site has been excavated during the Second World War by some kids who they were hiding themselves inside the cave. They stumbled across the entrance to a cave that had been hidden by roots of a big tree. To get inside that cave was also difficult, but those children, they went inside, and in 1940 they have discovered this painting. Now the historians' views on present day hunting and gathering societies. How they are throwing light upon this. Modern hunting and gathering societies are usually nomadic and an inevitable result of their subsistence technology. They move for several reasons. What is the reason behind it of this present day nomadic society? Search new food supplies, move to eat a large scale, then seasonal change and conflict within the group. This is also another important factor about this, why they have done all such things. So this is about that. The modern day hunting and gathering societies are usually nomadic and an inevitable result of their subsistence technology. They move for several reasons. So what are their reasons? The first one is given about that, search new food supplies. Second is move to eat a large scale. Then seasonal change and the conflict within the group. So seasonal change is also there, making them to move from one place to another. But there is the another reason is also given about that, the conflict within the group. By the end of this century, the last hunting and gathering society will probably have vanished, and within its irreplaceable link to our past, irreplaceable link, it is been said, if suppose they extinct, then it is irreplaceable. For thousands of years, these societies maintained a remarkably stable relationship with their environments and a highly satisfying way of life. So these present day hunting and gathering society, they are well satisfied. They feel very satisfied in their natural environment. They do not want any type of the interference in their environment. Next topic is the Neolithic period. Neolithic, new stone age. Also it is known as new stone age. New. Old stone age is known as Paleolithic, which we have discussed in the previous part. The stone age and the stone tools. Actually, these periods are basically made on the basis of the tools which has been used by the early humans. So here now the new techniques has been used by these people, Neolithic people, how they have just started making their tools with that, the handle and all. So they are known as the new Stone Age. So this is about that. Neolithic humans differed from their Paleolithic predecessors in two respects. Paleolithic means that the old Stone Age, followed by Neolithic period, new Stone Age. First, the Paleolithic men made stone tools by grinding and polishing rather than by chopping and fracturing. So this is that the Paleolithic men, how they have by chopping and fracturing. But the Neolithic men, what the new technology and the method is adopted by them, they made tools on of ground stone which were more durable than earlier tools. The ground stones were used to make the tools. They facilitated important inventions like the plow, the wheel, which appeared towards the end of the Neolithic period. Fire was discovered with this people. This is the fire, discovery of fire. Now wheel is and the plow. These are the two most important invention and discovery done by this people of the Neolithic age, which appeared towards the end of the Neolithic period. And with this invention only, this Neolithic period, new Stone Age period has come to an end. And a new development, the human is evolved from the Neolithic period. Like from the Paleolithic, with the discovery of fire, with the discovery of agriculture, settled life started, and this settled life has given the name of a Neolithic Neolithic period. And with this Neolithic period, when the human were able to invent plow and the wheel, that came to be an end for the Neolithic period. Paleolithic people were the food collector. This is a very simple manner. The comparison is given between the Paleolithic and Neolithic. They were the food collectors. But in the Neolithic age, the humans were transformed into food producers. These Paleolithic people were collectors and the Neolithic people were the producers. They were the collectors and here they are the producers. So this is the basic difference between Neolithic and Paleolithic. Though the hunters had knowledge of agriculture thousands of years ago, they did not shift to agriculture because they had a better and dependable food supply than food growing peasants. So what is the reason behind it? Why this the hunters who they had the knowledge about the agriculture thousands years ago back only, years back they had, but they have not started this shifting agriculture. Why too? Because they had a better dependable food supply than food growing peasants. To grow the food was difficult for them. Again, today's adult men, bushmen who live in a harsh desert, spend an average of only 15 hours per week hunting and collecting food. This is about 2 hours a day, and easy survival is there, sustenance is there. So it is not surprising that bushmen are exceptionally healthy. With 10% of their adults being over 60 years of age, their good health is also a result of their nomadic way of life. So this also has been considered as they are the nomadic, so they have a very good life. Since they are always on the move, they are not cut down by disease and human excreta and other waste materials that pile up in the villages where peasants spend their lives. Another reason for the late beginning of agriculture was the scarcity of plants and animals suitable for domestication. So all these are the goods and the ifs and buts are written over here. Explanation is given why they have not started this shifting agriculture, when they have started, what were the reason behind it. So this way mixed bag, this explanation is provided by the archaeologists, by the historians. So we can understand about that, in what circumstances, how they survived. For the sustenance of their life, what are the practices which has been developed by them? In all those practices, how much they have inherited. how much they have invented by themselves, how much discovery has been done by them. So all such things are explained in this. Second is given the most important difference between these two periods, like the Neolithic and Paleolithic period, is the Paleolithic men obtain food from hunting animals and gathering plants. This is about the Paleolithic men. What they are obtaining their food from hunting animals and gathering plants. They were food collectors, but in Neolithic age, the humans were transformed into food producers. The hunters had knowledge of agriculture thousands of years ago. They did not shift to agriculture because they had a better and dependable supply of food grains. Agriculture became a full-time occupation in those regions where there were plants and animals that could be domesticated. So all these are the reasons, the causes for that. The agriculture became a full-time occupation, and I'll just say previous slide what we have discussed. So average, if it has been taken out, only 2 hours a day they were working on that for the collection of the foods. But moment if they shift into the agriculture, they have to do a full-time occupation. In the process of domestication, the wild plants and animals became larger and provided more food. Thus, the hunters spend more and more for their time as food producers rather than food gatherers until they ended as peasants living in the villages. From the new centers of this agricultural revolution, the new way of life gradually spread over most of the globe. This is not given only in a particular area. Neolithic age, if we are talking, Paleolithic age, if we are talking about on the globe. So how the development took place, how the needs and the requirements brought the awareness among the citizens, among the early humans, and how they have started working on it. So this is very important point, that from the few centers of this agricultural revolution, means that the practice of agriculture has been started. The new way of life gradually spread over most of the globe. Means that the moment this agriculture started by the people, the settled life. Agricultural revolution has given the birth to the settled life. The people now, they have started settling at one place wherever they have their agricultural fields. Life of Neolithic men, what type of the life they were leading. The most important result of the transformation of man from the food gatherers to food grower or food producers, whatever it is, we can. Food producer was the new sedentary way of life. Now the new sedentary way of life, what it says, that human had now to settle down in order to care for their newly domesticated plants and animals. Earlier, to take care of these domesticated animals and to the plants, it was a full-timer job. So those that the Paleolithic men, they avoided all such things. They did not take interest in agriculture, although they were knowing about it. But in Neolithic period, what happened? The life of the Neolithic man is completely transformed. From that, the gatherers to the food producers, they have changed their lifestyle. From the food gatherers, now human is food producers. The distinctive feature of Neolithic village was social homogeneity. Social homogeneity is there. All families had the necessary skills and tools to produce what they needed. Now every family, all the families, they had the necessary skills. One or other skill is been developed among the family members. And they know the tools to produce what they needed. What type of the tool is required for to fulfill their requirement, fulfill their need. All humans were equally important and all had access to the basic natural resources for livelihood, for their living, the basic, this accessibility, what we are talking about, that the accessibility towards the natural resources, which is essential for their survival. So each and every human, they are having this accessibility. Every family was automatically a component part of the village community. Automatically, they become the part of the village community, which owned the farmlands. What is the meaning of this? The concept of the village community means that the members of the, automatically when they became the component of a village community, they have to own the farmlands, pastures, and the other resources of nature. So they can also claim about that the natural resources which is available in that village. Hence, there was division between landed proprietors and the landless cultivators in tribal society. So, evolution we are discussing. We are discussing about the development. How the gatherers, food gatherers to the food producers, this concept has developed. Then the village social community. With this, the village social community, what are the automatic component which is related to the natural resources available over there? And in that, who can claim for the farmland, for the pastures and the other resources of nature, which is available in the nature? So there was division. Now the division has been done. It has been divided. The landed proprietors and the landless cultivators in tribal society. Who is having the proprietorship and who they are, the landless cultivators. Religious beliefs of the people in Neolithic age. Like the Paleolithic age, men had begun to experience religious thoughts and feelings. This we are talking about this in the period of the Neolithic. Religious belief in Neolithic age. So before to reach to the Neolithic age, little bit going back about that, the Paleolithic age, what were they are feeling about the religion? So like the Paleolithic age, men had begun to experience religious thoughts and feelings. It seems that their religious outlook included concepts of soul and spirit belonging to each individual and belief in life after death. This is the Paleolithic people. They believe in the life after death. So whenever they are burying their dead, they put a paint. In the previous slide, in the previous section, we have already discussed about that. The painting was done on the human body. Then they have to bury so many things, the utensils, then cattle, then gradually the slaves were also engraved with that dead. So what it says about that, it seems that their religious outlook included concepts of soul and spirit belonging to each individual and belief in life after death. They opposed evils by wearing amulets and the talismans of beads or pendants. So whatever that the talismans, now also this the village, the concept, the moment a concept comes in our mind about a village person, then with that the black string with a talisman is around the neck. It is wore by the people in the villages. This is a concept developed. So the same way, the Paleolithic people, they were wearing amulets and the talisman of beads or pendants. To please the unseen powers of nature, men introduced religious rites. They created a class of religious priests who possessed powers of healing and who possess the powers of healing, diving. This is the divining and the casting magic spells. The magical treatment are also been started by them. The Neolithic men carried religious beliefs forward, began to worship many gods. So this way compare and contrast has been given. They thought that these gods resided in stones. Where these gods are residing? They are residing in the stones. Animals, springs, trees, caves, and mountains, means all the natural forces. They restore to human sacrifices, animal slaughter, self mutilation, etc. to please the god. Even though the self mutilation was also been practiced by them. Belief in life after death became more concrete. Burials as a result became more elaborate. The dead were accompanied by funerary items such as pottery, stone tools, animal, animals, offering, and later with jewelry and slaves. So these all are the things which were taking place, and this was all the gradual development in the Neolithic age. So after this, the religious beliefs, hunter-gatherer societies, and the present and the past. What it says that the scholars attempt. This is about the present to past. Hunter-gatherer societies from the present to the past. There are 2 points of view on the following issues. Whether the lives of present-day hunter-gatherers could be used to understand the past. The scholars who directly applied specific data from present-day hunter-gatherer societies to interpret the archaeological remains of the past. Some archaeologists suggest that the hominid sites dated 2 million years ago along the margins of Lake Turkana could have been the dry season camps of early humans. This is the dry season camps, it is suggested. Such practice has been observed among the Hasda and the Kungsan. Hasda is a story, it's a source given in the chapter which is very important, and about the Kungsan. There are scholars who feel that ethnographic data cannot be used for understanding past societies. Whatever the data is been provided by the archaeologist, it is not suffice to understand the past societies, the society which were formed by the early humans. It's very difficult. So what the ideas they have given? Present-day hunter-gatherer society pursues several other economic activities along with hunting and gathering. That what we have discussed was the past. Now coming to discuss with the present, how they are different from the past hunter-gatherer society. Nowadays, these group of the people, they are performing many type of the tasks. These include engaging in exchange and trade, in minor forest produce, or working as paid laborers in the fields of neighboring farmers. So this is the recent development. Whatever the suppose that their living places are there for this the hunter and gatherers people nearby the village, whenever they feel so they required, they can have to provide as a paid laborers to the villagers. Moreover, these societies are totally marginalized in all senses, geographically, politically, and socially. They are marginalized. They are very less in number, not developed. So, these societies are totally considered as the marginalized in all senses, in geographical sense also, in politically also. They have not been highlighted and they have not been given provided that the better facility by the government, and socially also they are the backward. They are considered primitive. So the condition in which they live are very different from those of early humans. So present days, this hunter and gatherers condition is very difficult and very complicated. There are tremendous variations amongst living hunter-gatherer societies. So what are the tremendous variations with that, the early and the present day? There are conflicting data on issues such as the relative importance of hunting and gathering, group sizes, or the movement from place to place. Both men and women are contributing to the food supply. Some of the key words are given over here, which are the fossils. Fossils are the remains or impressions of a very old plant, animal, or human, which has which have turned into stone. They are often embedded in rock and are thus preserved for million years. Then second is about that the species. It is a group of organisms that can breed to produce fertile offspring. Members of one species cannot mate with those of the other species produce fertile offspring. Anthropology is a discipline that studies human culture and evolutionary aspects of human biology. Artifacts are objects that are made by human beings. The term can refer to a wide range of things: tools, paintings, sculpture, and engravings. Primates, already we discussed earlier also in the previous slide, but here also again explanation is there. These are a subgroup of a larger group of mammals. What are these? Larger group of mammals. They include monkeys, apes, and humans. All three are included in these primates. They have body hair, a relatively long gestation period. Gestation period is there. Following birth, mammary gland, different types of teeth, and the ability to maintain a constant body temperature. Then it comes ethnography, his term which is basically used, especially used in history. It is the study of contemporary ethnic group. It includes examination of their modes of livelihood, technology, gender roles, rituals, political institutions, and the social customs. This comes under the ethnography, means to study about the ethnic groups. Coming to the conclusion part, in spite of their increased control over the necessities of life and their technical progress over the old stone culture, which is Paleolithic age, old stone culture, Paleolithic age. Then the men of Neolithic age were far from having attained a condition of civilization. How this condition of civilization started with that, the settled agriculture, the concept of the village, the shelter which they are making, domestication of animal, then wheel, use of plow. So the early man still lacked ability to utilize adequately the resources of nature. Adequate use of the natural resources were lacking by the early humans. They were ignorant of the art of writing. Why it is considered as a prehistory? Because the archaeologists, they did not get any of the written records. Then it is known as prehistory. And what is the essential for the civilized society? Writing. Art of writing is very essential. One of the essential component of the civilized society. It is true that they were no longer savages, but they would still be called as barbarians. So this is only the reason behind it. They were, as they belong from the, or they are the part of the prehistory. So they were, it is considered that it is very true that they were no longer savages, but they would still be called as barbarians. They are not considered as civilized. This is about the migration of the Homo sapiens and how they spread throughout the world. This is now the age is mentioned over here, 36 to 24 million years ago. Primates were there and they were in Asia and Africa. They were found in Asia and Africa. About 24 million years ago, hominoids were there. Then again, they were in Asia and Africa. Then about 6.4 million years ago, hominids were there and they were in Africa. About 5.6 million years ago, Australopithecus. Then African forests. Cro-Magnon we have studied inside the chapter. 2.5, it comes about Homo. This, the present day human. African plains. 2.2 million years ago, Homo habilis. Is this the and Africa? And Homo erectus. They are also found in Africa. So this is all about the chapter what we have discussed in detail about entire thing of that the our past, the human, how we are existing today, and how this the primitive man they occurred, they appeared on the earth. Some of the questions are here again to recap the topic. So we are coming to discuss the first one is how did the discovery of fire help early man? Number one, these are the 2 points we are going to discuss with inside this chapter is first of all, it helped the early man to cook food, then it helped him so this is about that the discovery of fire helped by early man. It helped the early man to cook food. It helped the early man to protect them from the danger of wild animals. Next is about that when did spoken language emerge? So the spoken language emerged as early as 2 million years ago. Its emergence has been seen closely connected with art. Where did Hasda group live and write any two features? That's all for the chapter. Thank you.